Hey everyone, this is the Innovator's Mindset with Grace McCallum. There we go. I got this pronunciation right.
You got it.
I love it. I have been sitting with Grace McCallum for about 40 minutes before we even recorded the podcast. And every time I talk to you, I'm just more and more impressed, not only with you, but what I hear about your school. And in Branksome Hall, which is it actually located in, it's right in Toronto, Ontario, right?
Right downtown Toronto, right off Bloor.
Yeah, I am like I'm actually going to be joining you in August. I am like so excited to work with you and your staff. Grace and I actually connected when you were at Frankfurt International School, and actually there's really famous basketball players from Germany and Orlando that I was like sitting by fans. I was like, yeah, I've been to Frankfurt, and they're like, well, that's pretty random. But Grace, I am so excited to have you on. So thanks for taking time out of your busy day.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to be here. I always love talking to you. I feel like whenever we talk, we're just like circling so many different drains. Fun.
Absolutely. So, hey, tell us a little bit about who you are, what you do today, and maybe a little quick overview of Branksome Hall.
Sure. So, well, I'm from New Brunswick, so I'm an East Coaster from Canada, but I just moved back to Canada. I've been gone for
Mhm.
almost 18 years. My husband and I went to teach in China for a year, and that we're supposed to like a little exchange program kind of thing, and we just forgot to exchange back. So we were in China for, we
Right.
loved, we were like, this is amazing, the international school scene. So we were in Beijing for 11 years. Loved it there. Our two daughters were born there. And then we were in Frankfurt where I got to meet you and you came over as an awesome speaker. And I remember you saying, listen, I'm going to be the best keynote you've heard, I promise. And you were right. You were the best. You had laughing and crying. You were incredible.
That doesn't sound
Um,
like something I would say.
what's that?
That doesn't sound like something I would say.
Listen, you are humble for sure, but you were like, yeah. You're like, I promise, it's gonna be great. I'm gonna be the best one you've ever heard. And I was like, okay. And then you came and I was like, okay, he is not joking. You were so
Thank you.
darn
Thank
good.
you. I
I
appreciate
loved it
that.
so much so that I was like, George, please come to my new school in Canada. So I was in Frankfurt for 4 years. That's where I met you. Loved it. Loved being in Frankfurt. And then went to the American School of Brasilia in Brazil, right in the middle of the pandemic. Very on brand for me, I have to say. But loved it there and had a great experience. But there's one school that my husband and I have always said, like, if Branksome Hall was hiring, we would consider
Wow.
coming to Canada. So when they reached out, it kind of, I don't know that we were ready necessarily to leave like the international school world, but Branksome Hall, like I'm the eighth principal in 123 years. So
Wow.
when Branksome calls, you have to answer the phone and it's like now or never. And I'm so glad I made this choice. It's been awesome. People hear Branksome Hall and they hear Toronto and they think, oh, it's like like a school in downtown Toronto. It must be like a brick kind of big building.
Yeah.
It's actually a massive campus. When you're on campus, it feels like you're in the forest and you look up and you're like, oh, there are the skyscrapers on Bloor Street. So we're kind of unique in that way. And I'm loving being here. It's been the smoothest transition I've ever had. So it's been great.
Well, when you and I talked about coming out there and you reached out to me, one of the things I really distinctly remember was just the amount of pride and excitement you had. It was like you were already there for a little bit, but it was like you're brand new, almost just so excited about this and the pride that you had. It's
Yeah.
just absolutely amazing to see that. And it wasn't just about the history of the school. It was about the people you're working with currently, which I really, really appreciated. And even though you saw me speak, you're like still vetting me a little bit. You're like, are you sure? Like, like, and kind of because I know you're very protective of that community too.
I'm very protective. And Branksome, it's called the Branksome Way. Like everything we do at the school it's pretty incredible. It's so high level. So I've interviewed almost every person at the school at this point. I do that in every school I go to. Most heads do.
Yeah.
I'm not unique for sure. But like one-on-one 30-minute conversations. I think I'm at 190 now, which
Wow.
has been great. And so I think I have about 25 more to go. But the number one thing I've heard from people is that the level of excellence of their colleagues when they got here, like that's the number one thing that made the school unique is they felt they had to kind of rise to that. I've never heard that at another school that I've done these at. So that's pretty incredible. But the stories of the people, like you were saying, it's the people that have really made me so excited. The stories of the people that work here that I've learned from those interviews, it inspired me so much that I was like, we need to do a podcast just about the stories of these people, like incredible teachers, people who have got just mind-blowing life experiences that I have never heard before. So Yes, I'm very protective of them. They're pretty incredible. Yes, I did kind of vet you, but like that's my job.
That's right. You know, the concept that you talked about, and I actually it's unique in the sense that we are so focused on collaboration in schools. And I think that when I was a kid going to school, it was all about competition. It was all about like literally crushing other kids to win awards and things like this too. The concept we
Crushing.
talked about in Innovator's Mindset was the idea of competitive collaboration, which you basically gave the example of, is that do you actually push each other to become better, that me doing great stuff actually elevates you, whereas in some places, and I've talked to a lot of teachers in my career, they're almost nervous about doing great stuff because it's like, well, you're making us all look bad.
Yeah.
And so it's like, oh, let's lower ourselves, as opposed to like, wow, this person's so good, I got to pick it up. But the so it's not just a competition though, because I know, and in having conversations with you, that if someone's doing something really great across the hallway, the colleague can go across and say like, how are you doing that? Can you help me through this process? So that's why I talk about that idea of competitive collaboration, which tells me like, your school is amazing. And that's one of the things that you listed, because when you both push and support, I think that's where a lot of great things happen. One of the things that I know is coming up is you're building some new spaces, you're developing that. And you and I kind of talked about, there's a huge value in creating some new spaces, but not if you just kind of bring the old way of thinking, like what does that new space create and how do we think differently about that? So tell us a little bit about that process of what's going
Yeah.
on in your school right now.
Thanks. So yeah, I mean, we're building this new building called the ICAST building. It's going to be our innovation hub. And I think something we've been really conscious about this year is being intentional in saying, yeah, we have this amazing new facility, the only one of its kind in a K to 12 space in Canada. And there's only two others that are even close to being similar in all of North America. I mean, not post-sec, right? But in K to 12.
Yeah.
It's great. And we can't rely on that. Like, yeah, I can't wait for you to see it. It's like will blow your mind as an innovative
All right.
person. But it's not the building, like it's not the bricks and mortar of that building that's going to suddenly make sure that our institution is innovative.
Mhm.
That's our brand. We're known as being a really innovative school, but we can't rest on that. So we have an athletics and wellness center, right? It's brand new, it's incredible, has all the things, all the bells and whistles. But just like being in the building won't make you fit. Like I tried. I've been in there for like 6 months and I don't have abs yet, so I'm not sure what's happening. But it turns out you have to use the space,
Right.
right?
Right.
So I'm teasing, but it's the same thing with this building. So we really want to address the skills gap in Canada. There is a skills gap. It's documented. We know it's there. We don't want our students being a part of that for sure, but it's way more than the skills. And I know I'm preaching to the choir with you, but the skills, the hard skills are going to change in a year.
Yeah.
Right now, are we teaching coding anymore? Should we be? I mean, AI is going to have that taken care of. It already does, and it's going to have it to more of a fulsome extent in 6 to 12 months. It's not about the hard skills. That's part of it. It's about the mindset. Like, how are we building our girls and students to be innovative thinkers who can solve complex challenges?
Mhm.
So, a way that we're addressing that is like with an open innovation like hub. So getting outside companies, like partnerships with great companies, thinking like Google, Apple, DMZ, to come in and like give us their problems and be working with our kids to solve the problems in an open-ended way, bringing in different industries. So like having our expert in residence program, we'll be having experts from like lots of different industries come in and like present problems of practice from their industry and have our kids work through the problem solving with them. That's the kind of mind shift we're looking to do. And it's like beyond the building. So even our HR department right now
Mhm.
is there, everyone's always in when you've got an idea at Branksome, which I love. Like, hey, we're working on being more innovative. How can we, adopt AI in our HR processes? And so they're like, every different department is really trying to like leverage what this looks like. And I talked with everyone when we came back to school in January and said, like, I know we're all on a continuum of how we want to adopt this. You don't have to some of you have your GPS set to the destination, like you know where you want to go. You're like, I know how to get there. I've got it all mapped out. My playlist is ready. Others don't have their key in the ignition. But after today, everyone's ignition has to be
Right.
at least turned on. You got to turn the car on.
Right.
And man, have they risen to that call to action.
And one of the things when I'm out there, I'm not just doing a talk. We're kind of doing like a talk workshop. And the thing that I love most about that is I'm going to totally take advantage and learn a ton of stuff from you all too, right? Which is, I think that's that's the best thing is that there's a lot of expertise in this room. I always try to go in those spaces thinking, how do I become better from this as well? So
I
that's
love
something
that.
that really, really matters to me. Here's something I'm really curious about is that you have this tradition, of Branksome Hall, right? Like you've known this forever, yet you're really focused on innovation. Is there any issues with that over time, right? Like, no, we want this because it's always been this way, but we always like where do you kind of see that connection of the two? Because I don't think it's one or the other, but it's actually tying the two together.
I think it's honoring the past to innovate for the future. And when you get to our campus, you're going to see everything here is kind of a juxtaposition. Like we've got these two state-of-the-art buildings that are like straddled each side of a street connected with a bridge. And then there's all of these historical, like 150-year-old, 200-year-old buildings all over the campus. So it's like tradition and innovation visually are like butting up against each other, which is super interesting, I think. What I love is that this is a school steeped in tradition. It's an icon in Canada
Right.
and in Toronto. And you have to respect that, right? Especially coming in new. Can't be like, I'm here. I know everywhere we
Right.
need to go. We're going to blow this out of the water. I don't want to do that. I want to keep our tradition in many ways because it's what makes our school so
Right.
special. But we also have these like very broad shoulders that we're standing on. Like
Mhm.
we're traditional, but you look back at like one of our, like our second principal. She was a trailblazer. Like women weren't even owning property at that time. And she was like, I can figure this out. I'm going to make this happen. She was innovative for the time. So we think we're traditional, but when you look back, we're not.
Right.
She got our girls to make a human chain across Mount Pleasant because the government said to her no when she asked to put in a traffic light because the traffic was insane and she was worried about safety. So she was like, I'm going to teach you how to protest. And like made a human chain and like forced them to say yes to her. That was unheard of
Wow.
120 years ago, right? So we've always been innovative. I just don't know that we've recognized it in that way.
I love that. And that is like it is a time thing too that you're constantly growing and developing. And I think that's something you model very well. I know that's something you're very prideful of. Now I'm going to put myself on the spot here too because I'm hoping that your community has the opportunity to listen to this, and I'm excited to be there. So if I were to do a good job on that day, what are your expectations of me? So I'm like curious about that because I know like I'm nervous now. When I
Yeah.
talk to you, I'm like, oh no, I better not mess this up. Like it's a big
Well,
day. Yeah.
I'm really hoping that you'll come in and like with interpretive dance, that we would really appreciate that.
I'm cutting that out. I'm
No.
cutting that
Um,
out.
you know what? I think people are going to be inspired by you, George. That's why I wanted you to come. You have this special magic about you where you can kind of like I know it'll embarrass you, sorry. But you do have this kind of magic about you that really gets people inspired and like believing that they can
Mm,
do more and that things might seem scary, but we can get there. And the why is because of the student in front of us, right? Like
mm,
you have a way of pushing people to be aspirational and to believe in their own self-efficacy in a way that doesn't scare them or intimidate them. Like you make it accessible. And I think if you can do that, which you have before for my faculty back in Frankfurt, that will be a huge success. Our teachers are wide open. Our staff, they're wide open. Their hearts are just like, yep, I want to learn, I want to grow. I may be at different ends of the spectrum in the comfort level, but I'm ready to go. The cars are turned on, George. It's just we need some help maybe with getting everybody gassed up. We'll keep going
yeah.
with that energy.
The more I talk to you and just hear about the school, I am just so excited to be there. And like I said, it is a wonderful opportunity for me to share some of my ideas, but for me to grow and to learn and become better. And there's a lot of times I go to these places, and the next place after is very lucky because because I picked up some new things. So, Grace,
Yeah.
I know you're like super busy, and I just want to thank you. I'm like so honored. I feel like extra honored now that you invited me. But just incredible work by you and your staff, and just your pride of them really means a lot. Especially in education right now, a lot of people are not, they're kind of struggling, but you can feel the pride that you have in your school community. So I'm excited to meet your staff, your community, and learn from you and see. So I'm excited to see the buildings there too.
I can't wait for you to meet everyone. They are phenomenal.
Mm.
And we're going to learn a lot from you. And you cause so much excitement. And I think there's already so much excitement here, but I'm
Yeah.
just so thrilled that you'll come and come back to your roots here in Canada
Yeah,
for a minute,
yeah.
and then just kind of get us going for the school year. You know, there's lots of excitement, but I'm a person that likes a high level of energy. So let's start the year
I
that
might
way.
have
It's
to go to
perfect.
the Danforth while I'm there, right? Isn't there like a big Greek community there still?
Yeah, Greektown is there, and I'm surprised that I know that because people have said things like, "Hey, have you been to this part of Toronto?" I'm like, "No, I'm a school principal. I don't. I'm drinking from a fire hose. I've been to Rosedale, and that's it."
I actually, when I was a kid, my mom took me to the Danforth, and I speak a little bit of Greek. I can speak it better now. I'm practicing with ChatGPT, if you can believe that. It's actually in the car. I'm having conversations in Greek back and forth, and
Cool.
I remember basically walking down there, and my mom would just talk to every Greek person for an hour that she didn't know because she just wanted to talk to Greeks. I like never
Oh,
forget
I
that.
love that.
And
You
just
have to
so
go when
personal.
you're
Yeah,
here.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. So, Grace, thanks so much for being on the podcast. Branksome Hall. I'm so excited to join you all. I hope you have a wonderful day. Thanks for taking time out of your busy day to listen to podcasts. Take care.
For you anytime.